Mountain biking with Cayce. Putting out the vibe there, bro?
What up, brother? Come get a
Put up.
little of this action.
We got some trails down there. It's a beautiful start. So he told you about it.
Yeah, but he told me about Tree to Tree, just about it, and then I checked it out once. And then I applied. I went out there for my interview. Marissa said the most on-point thing to me that I've had anyone say to me, and it was pretty good. Because I had done some rope rescue stuff during search and rescue and everything, and I was telling Marissa that, and she was like, "Yeah, well, it's kind of different once you get up there. You'll still have to try it." And I was like, all right, cool.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, and you kind of know the Marissa talking way. It was awesome. I loved it. But it was just like, and she was true to point. I got up there and I was like, oh yeah, this is a different ball game. Different mindset.
Yeah. Well, that's like with anything. You have to just let your mind get used to it.
Yeah.
So you can perform. And that's the importance of training.
Right?
You were bringing that up with the firefighting thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot about public service that I have frustration with, and the problem is the frustration is bound out of a respect. And I've been a part of those fields. I know to a certain extent, don't get me wrong, I don't know everything. I've never lived an entire career, but having done and been a part of the culture for a little bit, they're good people trying to do good things, and a lot of times just been taught shitty ways to respond and deal with things, and been reinforced on that over years and years and years of practice. And that's really what institutionalized means.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
the importance of training is
it's all about your mindset. Like training, and it's something I got from really great people at the sheriff's office, was you only get out of it what you put in. And training's exactly that. And any growth is always that. You have to put in how much you want to get out. So if you're not in it all the way, you're not going to get a whole new change in any kind of training situation. If you're trying to train, like when I was trying to do for firefighting drills, you're going 100% in practice because you got to be ready to go 100% in real life. You don't train at 50%, you train at 100% so you can go all the way when you have to. Yeah. And that's part of that. You got to put in 100%. And I mean, that's what all pro athletes say that as well. It's not, the thing that's inspiring about pro level athletes is their dedication to putting in that 100%. Is saying every single time, I'm going for this, no apologies every single time. And having the resources to do so. But there's a lot of that, and really most of that, and thankfully a lot of our culture supports those that make that fight to make that happen.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the best thing in the world. That means a lot of other people that have that drive, but not necessarily in that drive in that way, in that aggressive, or not aggressive, but louder behavior. It's not necessarily supportive of others, though, and that's one thing we have to think about as the trainers, is we have to be making sure we're providing the proper environment for everyone to give that 100%. Because the other part of that is you can only give in however much the situation's capable of.
Yeah.
If I inherently create a situation for you not to be successful, then you're not able to put in that 100%.
Yeah. Well said.
And that's part of.
So it's the humility to want to be trained, and then it's also the container that the trainer's holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other part of that is being neutral to your team. Like that was a big part of when I was doing some USA training thing. And it was like, this is basic common sense stuff, but it has to be hammered in so much. But that you have to be neutral to your team. Like you can root for characters all you want, but to a certain extent, you can't be like, oh, this guy's going to take me all the way for sure. I'm going to put in all my academic and financial ability into this kid, or time, just straight up time into this kid, even though someone else who very well that kid could get injured, or he could get psyched out. There's so many other possibilities that this other kid who isn't necessarily as loud about his passion is going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And that's important. Like that's important for us to remind ourselves as trainers. Like it's really hard to watch in skiing, and it's really hard to be a part of in skiing, because a lot of our sport is about passion and the passion for being in the outdoors. That way's probably going to be pretty crawled over.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the left. We're shooting for right this way, so go around here.
You're such a good guide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the other thing is, like, then you're talking about the importance of growth and really going all in.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question is then, how does one go all in, or set themselves up in a way where they can?
Sadly, I think one part of that is we also have to realize that not everybody wants to go all in. And that's something that I think can be a deterrent for some people, is that sometimes our so active behavior is so new to them that it can deter people to a certain extent. So I think that's something we have to keep in mind as well. But
so are you talking around the parameters of going all in, the importance of if it's an active activity, going all in is like all or nothing?
More being, they have to be, we want them to be pushing themselves to their 100%. And to your diamond rule, not everybody has that same 100%. So that's some
Oh, it's the platinum rule.
Yeah, the platinum
Well,
rule. Thank you.
Yeah, but keep going. I feel you.
But
Everybody's different.
yeah. It's more, I know I have to be tempered in that response for myself, because I can be hyper happy about something and actively deter people, which is sad. Like, is not the coolest situation, but it's a reality we face. And for somebody who's promoting a sport, I have to keep that in mind. What was the question before that? Because I got sidetracked.
Just how do you position yourself to go all the way?
And that's the reason why I said those, we have to keep that in mind, is because I think that's when we have to empathize as much with our students. We have to try and get in the mind of our students as much as possible, because then we can approach it from what is going to be ultimately the most enjoyable experience to a certain extent. As much, specifically talking about skiing, not necessarily facilitation.
Yeah.
Skiing it has to be tied to an enjoyable experience, and that's mainly what I'm talking about. Facilitation is slightly different, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
We really have to get in tune with students, because I know, I guess an example would be, as a larger guy, a larger student, it's sometimes intimidating to a certain extent the amount of activity involved with some people in a first time activity. It's intimidating because you're gonna have to be sweating, or there's something you're thinking about that is adding another layer than your enjoyment that you have to think about, which is not what we want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or even more antisocial people, like being out on that snow with 500 people is nuts. Like, imagine how, like, that's like part of looking at it from a potential mental disability perspective, is understanding, like, oh, they're just, like, somebody with autism they just have too much information. That's it. They just can't process information, and keeping that in mind when we have an interaction, so we're not being like, oh, shut up, like trying to shush them, which is only going to make it worse.
Yeah.
We're going to go actually off to the right here.
Okay. You have to, like, almost engage with them and flow with them. I've noticed that with autistic-ness.
Yeah. And I mean,
you can't ignore and you can't shush.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, keep pace with them and with everyone else.
And that's one of the things I find beautiful about working with disabilities of any kind, is that those skills are universal, and it's really, I find it less of social skills and more people with disabilities tolerance for bullshit. Like, that's really what it comes down to. And they know how to be polite and to the point and get you out of their face. But they also, like, that's the thing, is they have something else going on that is preventing them, or it's just too much stuff. Like I said, too much stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They're between a rock and a mental hard place.
Wow. Well said. Well said.
And they do exactly what we all do. Just, you know, freak out, blow up, and push people away.
Yeah. It's an interesting planet we live on, Casey.
Yeah.
Where are we? This way. Dude, you have Narnia in your front yard. Is that your front yard or your backyard?
That's my front yard. Dude. In my backyard is the mountain biking.
So we're Did you hear that? Yeah, love it. Yeah. Did we both win from COVID a little bit, where I was quote unquote stuck on a lake, and you were quote unquote stuck on a mountain?
I also golfed about 2 times a week with my roommate.
We should
for
go
the past
golfing.
like 3 months. Let's go. There's a 9-hole course right over there that we can.
Okay, let's go golfing.
5:30 every afternoon. It's
okay.
We're the last people on course. It's $23.
Okay, I'm gonna get back into it.
Let's go.
Yeah, I need to work on my drive. That's the most intimidating part. Is the tee off.
Yeah.
I always stick with a 3-wood. I don't go a 2-1. I carry a 3-wood, a 3-iron, 5-iron, and a sand wedge and a putter. That's all I carry.
That's really good setup right there.
And I know,
that's not bad.
and I know people that are like golf like.
Well, you can club up. No, that's a lot of people would be like, that's a fine setup.
Yeah.
As if you're going slim.
Yeah, I like to go slim. I mean, that's the nature of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was minimalist? Yeah.
Right.
That's just kind of my jam. It's all this extra stuff.
Right.
But I don't want to diminish people that are into the sport and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
One of the things I love, it's another thing. It's another reason why I love mountain biking. We're going to the left. I'm at you like a 10. One of the things I love about mountain biking, and also golf, but also frustrates me the fuck out of golf, because it has the least amount of consistency.
Oh right.
Is
you have to be totally zenned out.
dude, it's nuts.
Yeah, like precise Zen.
And that's the beauty of it, though, is as an instructor, trying to keep up my movement analysis skill is trying to go through and figure out my body movements. And golf is, when it works, it is, it is honestly, I will tell the whole world this. It is one of the best. It's better than sex. It's honestly better than sex. It
is, because if your mood is off slightly, it affects your game.
Dude, and you can have just like, you can just pull one little muscle a little too much and shank a shot. Golf is, and it's all because golf is the most frustrating sport in the world.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
but it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
No, and it's so true. Like, because there's a lot more grace with like skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking. Like, you could be a little off and still be on the trail or whatever. But with golf, like,
you can keep it together.
You gotta be,
and it's one shot. That's it. It's just the golf ball.
Yeah, it's
either good or it's crap. And that's
I think archery is the same way. Like, you have to be in this mindset that is so precise. I love it. All right, well, we're gonna end part 1. I gotta go hang out with Gussie. Much love to you, Cayce.
Bye.